Every year, nearly 48,000 people complete suicide. That loss starts a ripple effect that spreads through families, friends, and communities, adding about 285,000 suicide loss survivors. Now, the impact, leaving most, if not all of them, wondering what they could have done differently and if they can or will ever move forward.
For me, the biggest thing is it's a little bit of kind of forced mindfulness. I can't come in here and start playing with a ball of clay and be thinking about, bad things that happen in my week. I really just kind of have to be in the moment and focus on my clay and connect with that clay.
Simplicity. It's what Megan Saunders says helps her survive suicide loss. A needed simplicity, as this licensed pharmacist deals with day-to-day work and life, but more importantly, needed to cope and escape vivid memories.
I essentially ended up going to his apartment and ended up letting myself in. When I first saw him, I still had that thought of like, oh, there's something that I can help with right now. And it took me getting across the room and actually touching him to realize that that just wasn't the case. I don't think I'll ever forget. It's just kind of something burned into my brain, I guess, at this point.
Burned into her brain, her father, 58-year-old David Michael Saunders, had taken his own life. Her dad, who just 1 year before had moved from California to Montana to start over.
I was so excited to have him here. Oh, this is a fresh start. We're going to be healthy. We're going to make good choices. I'm just going to support him and just help him be, the best version of himself that he can be. Carving pumpkins for Halloween and of him helping decorate the house. And I had just so much hope that he was going to do really well after he moved out here and started living with me.
Although bliss in the beginning, as months passed, Megan's already little house seemed to get even smaller, and her frustration with some of her father's choices grew larger. David eventually moved into his own place, and then life got busy.
You know how it is, you blink and it's been a couple of weeks and you haven't talked on the phone or seen him in person.
Megan describes their last two interactions as brief, a bit curt. It was just 2 days before Christmas when she realized that her dad hadn't responded to her text messages in over a week. It was then she went to his home. It was after that she started to analyze and pick apart every interaction they'd had over the last year.
I wrestled with that guilt. I still wrestle with it. It's been almost 4 years, and when I have a bad day, there's that little voice in the back of my head, saying, you should have, you could have. I vividly remember that I physically felt like I had a hole in my chest. Such deep, deep sadness.
Since that day, Megan has done a lot of work to move away from that dark place.
Suicide loss kind of impacts the way that you understand that the world functions. It kind of shatters your view of what is fair and what is right in life and how you picture life working out.
Not only professional help, but she surrounded herself with others surviving similar pain.
It's important to have people who've been where you've been and, are still struggling, but we are moving forward. Because I think that's all you can hope for a lot of the time is just, what's my next step?
She's now a facilitator for the Survivors of Suicide Loss support group in Billings, so she can recognize and help others take their first steps.
I think maybe like the occasional power walk, but certainly not running, certainly not jogging, occasionally trip and fall down, but recognize that it's okay to trip and fall down sometimes because that's going to happen for the rest of my life, and I know that. But just being able to get back up. And
she's also taken part in suicide prevention education and trainings, the risk factors, signs, and knowledge she feels everyone should learn, but at the same time understand. As a survivor, you can't bear that burden.
You can do everything exactly right. You can check all of the boxes. You can, take somebody out of a toxic situation and try to build this like perfect, wonderful life for them and address all of the things all of the needs that you think they have that aren't met. And that still might not be enough. And that doesn't mean that we failed. That doesn't mean that that person is beyond helping. It just means that something happened to them that we just aren't able to fix.
One of many difficult concepts to comprehend surrounding suicide, which brings Megan back to simplicity and shaping her path moving forward.
You know, if something goes wrong, you just smash the clay and, you know, you can wedge it a little bit and then start over again. It's okay that not everything is going to turn out how I think it's going to, you know, and that's okay, because I can try again tomorrow. There's always more clay.
If you or someone else is in crisis, text TALK to 741-741 or call 1-800-273-8255. In Billings, Janelle Slade, MTN News.